Well, we got another one. This is a 2018 Cub Cadet Challenger 750, 750cc. Thing is pretty nice. Fully enclosed, has heat, 4x4, a winch, original tires are still on it. Really nice. So I got this thing for $3,500. The seller that sold it to me thinks it's locked up, and his son that he was selling it for bought it as a project from an older couple that used it for gardening and hauling stuff around their yard. They said they were driving it and it randomly just shut off and won't start back up. So this is what it's doing. A little rip in the seat right there, but it's super nice on the inside here. Got our key that goes on, which makes a beeping sound the whole time. Got the title for it and registration card right in there. It has heat down here. Here's the heat switch with the little vents there. And then it has a windshield that can easily come off with vents right here. So you can see those open up and close. Nice bench seat with cup holders. A roof, back window, and a nice little dump bed back there. Alright, so the seatbelt wasn't plugged in, that's why it was beeping. It's kind of annoying. So we've got 1,664 miles on this beast. And I think just over 200 hours. Yep, 201 hours. All the lights do work. We'll test those out once we get this thing in the garage. Has turn signals, hazards, high and low, and then lights on and off. I don't know what this thing is right here. Is it fog lights? And then it's got a charging port, 12 volt. So as you can see, it's really clean. This is the emergency brake right there. It does have park, reverse, neutral, high and low. But let's see if this thing can start. So put your foot in the brake and you crank it and it just clicks. It's not doing anything. So the older couple that owned it thought it was locked up. They took it to the dealership and the dealership said it was going to be like $110 an hour to diagnose this thing, and they ended up just privately selling it and getting new ATVs instead. So they got rid of it, sold it for cheap, and moved on. So it could be blown up. It could be as simple as a starter fix. It could be pretty much anything. So we're hoping we get lucky with it, and it's just like a bad solenoid, a bad battery, or a bad starter is what we're hoping. But it definitely could be a bad engine or something along those lines. For $3,500, I think it was worth the price. I know when you go and buy a full enclosure for a UTV, you're spending close to $4 grand. So just the cab and the windows and things alone are worth that. These things brand new in 2018 were $15,000. So we're getting a $15,000 unit for $3,500 if we can fix it. Rebuild kits for these are, I think, a couple $1,000s. So we might have to put some money into it, but it could be a very nice machine. So let's get this thing unloaded and start tearing into it. Alright, let's see if all the lights work. All right, hazards are working, lights are working, fog lights are working. So all the lights are on right now. Everything's working here. Let's turn all these off. And then we'll put the blinker on. Blinkers are working. Yep, right there. Let's see if the other blinker works. Yep, that blinker's working. The only thing this doesn't have is a windshield wiper, which would be really nice. And then you can see the diff lock for the front and diff lock for the rear. That's really nice. Most machines only have front diff lock, so that's pretty cool. And then the winch obviously works. That's how I winched it onto the trailer. As you can see, easy access to the spark plug and the top end here. All right, this whole seat comes out. Then you have access to the engine from here. Pretty cool design, actually. There we go. So we've got the gas tank right here, intake components right here. So air filter is going to be right in here. This bar can come off, I believe. A couple bolts holding that on. Oil filter is right there. Oil fill is right there. We're going to check that. Make sure there's no chunks in there. Clutch right here on this side. So, yeah, pretty self-explanatory. So, let's just sit in here and try cranking this thing over. See what it does here. Turn the key on. And crank it. And you can hear it. It's like the solenoid's clicking. So what we're first going to do is measure the solenoid. Let's see, where is it? I think it's underneath the seat right there. There's another panel right here. Okay, here's the electrical, battery, everything. Oh, look at this. The battery's not really connected. It's all loose. Let's first connect that. If that was the problem, can you imagine? The battery just wasn't connected correctly. But here's the solenoid right here. So we can check that. Easy access to that. It's kind of nice. Cables are all tight now. Turn this thing on. Will it crank? Nope. So still no cranking. Alright, so the solenoid's right here. You can see there's two posts right here. This one's positive and this one is nothing right now. When you turn the key, it sends a signal to the solenoid and a little piston comes up and connects the bridge between this one and this post right here, and then it sends positive voltage down this wire to the starter. So a lot of times what happens is that piston doesn't come up or it doesn't make good contact with this post right over here, and it never sends that signal to the starter. So we're going to check that first. If this post right here has 12 volts, the secondary post has 12 volts, then we know that we've got voltage going to the starter. So basically what we can do is hook a positive wire up to this one and up to the battery negative terminal, and then turn on the key, and if we see 12 volts, we're gonna be good. And we're gonna hook up one end to one end right here. And then one end to the negative terminal of the battery. And now, when we turn this thing on, we should see 12 volts. When we twist the key here, here we go. We're only seeing 6. It's interesting. We might have a bad fuse. We should be seeing 12 volts there. Let's see if we're getting 12 volts at this terminal. We're only getting 9.2. Yeah, so something's going on. Let's see where the battery's at. Battery's only at 9.2. Alright, so that could be the reason right there. So we're gonna hook up a jumper to it and see if that voltage goes up. If it doesn't, we've got like a drain somewhere on the system. Alright, so take our voltmeter. Same thing, hook up one end to the positive terminal over here. One end to the negative. Then we're going to turn the key on. See what happens here. Should see 12 volts here when I turn the key. We're only seeing 8 now. 8.3. Huh. Let's see if we're getting 12 with the battery. .8. I think we definitely have a drain somewhere here, because we've got 12.1 on the charger here. We got 11.9. Alright, so the starter should still be going, but it might not have enough power to turn over the engine. Sometimes a fuse can be bad, not allowing all the voltage and current going through it. It's a 30 amp fuse, but we'll just replace it. So maybe the machine shut off because it wasn't getting the correct voltage. That would be awesome. Never know. So new fuse going in. Alright, just see what happens now. Turn the machine on. See if we still hear a click here. Could definitely have the starter draining stuff, because we're getting 12 volts at the battery, but 8 volts at the solenoid. So if we can get that starter out, I think we'll be in business. So we can check out the air filter next, get this out of the way, so we can get to the starter. See what this looks like. There we go. I don't think there's anything underneath there. Alright, the bed is off. Just 2 pins holding it right there. And then the pin holding that on. So now we have access to the engine here. Starter is right down there. So let's try to get that out. You can see there's a bolt there. And I believe, is that the only one? Nope, there's one on the other side too. Alright, we kind of got the starter loose here. See if we can pull it out now. I don't know if we have enough room to do that. We got that thing free. Oh yeah, come on. They make these things so hard to get to. And starters are usually like the first thing that goes out on the machine, so I don't know why they do that. All right, we got the starter out finally. Spins smoothly in there. No crunching or anything, so I'm guessing the starter's fine. This machine is from 2018, so I don't really see how that could go bad, and the people barely used it. But we'll see, maybe that is the problem. Like that, and then we'll do positive to the terminal right here, and we'll see if she spins over. So that's working just fine. So we could still have a ground issue where this thing wasn't grounding out properly and not working. So we're gonna hook it back up to the machine and see if we ground it to the machine and hook it back up if that's working, because maybe we just have a loose ground on the frame or something. All right, we have the starter grounded to the engine here, and then we've got the positive cable going to the starter. So let's see if the starter turns on. Sounds a little weak. Let's put the jumper to it and see if it spins a little faster. I'm guessing that was not the problem. We are going to see if this engine turns over now. We're going to try to get to this cover over here, get that off, and turn the engine. We'll get the spark plug out of here first, make it a little easier on ourselves, but yeah, let's see what that spark plug looks like first. Spark plug looks like. That was loose in there, so I think the previous owner checked this. He said he didn't work on it at all, so we'll see. Ooh. That's a bad sign. So he definitely knew something was up. Look at that. So I wonder if it dropped a valve. That really sucks. Look at that spark plug. So that kind of tells us everything we need to know. I probably should have taken out the spark plug when I bought this thing, but yeah, hopefully it's just a top end and it's not a bottom end. That's bad, because top end for this thing's like 500 bucks. So if we can fix this for 500 bucks, that'd be a pretty good deal. But yeah, that is not looking good. We're gonna quick drain the oil, see what that looks like, and then we'll start tearing into this thing. I'm thinking it's a drop valve. Let me see if I can look down the spark plug hole here. I need a boroscope. Yeah, I can't see anything in there, so. All right, let's see where the oil drain plug is here. Go underneath the machine. Oh, man. Oh, that's a tight fit underneath here. I have to jack this guy up. All right, I found it. It's right here. There it is. So hopefully there's no metal chunks in there, and the bottom end will be fine. Interested to see what that top end's gonna look like. All right, here's the oil. I'm not seeing any metal flakes in there at all. So hopefully we can get lucky and the bottom end's gonna be fine. It's pretty black, but no metal chunks anywhere on the drain plug or anything. So Fingers crossed, Biomen's gonna be good. Alright, let's start by taking off these valve covers here. See what's going on. All those valves seem good. I think we're at tap dead center right now, actually. Get the other valve covers off. Oh, that one's really loose. So I wonder if the valves weren't adjusted properly, and that's why a valve broke, which I think happened. I think the valve broke. That was pretty loose too. That one's really loose. You can hear that clacking. And these are all fine up here. So I think this valve broke. That's what I'm thinking. Or got really bent. That was a long one going up. So two big long ones going all the way. Oil on the bolts, so the valves were getting oil. Ooh, that is tight in there. That one might break off. That one can. That one can. There's two down here. Oh man, that is really tight. That one's gonna stick right up. So we got all but one bolt to come free. That one just broke off right here. That was not coming out. All right, to get this one out, we just cut a slit in the top and was able to get that one out. So luckily, we didn't have to drill that one out. Otherwise, a bunch of metal shavings would go on the top end, which there might already be a bunch, but we don't want to add to it, so. All right, last one. There we go. Oh. All right. All right, rockers don't look horrible. Not a whole lot of wear on there, is there? Like. That one pushes down yet. That one pushes down. They all push down. Cam chain doesn't feel that tight at all. The cam chain's really loose. You can see this valve is sitting a lot lower than this one. So this exhaust valve is a couple millimeters shorter than that one. But the intake look all normal. Tie up this cam chain here. So we can Get the cam out. Locked up here. There's that decompression mechanism. That looks good. Springing back. Sprocket looks good. Here are the 2 timing marks right there. Lobes are good, not all dented in. Oh boy, that is not sounding good. Get this coolant drained here. Looks like there's some coolant in here yet. Alright, are we ready for it? It's gonna pour out. Get everywhere. Get our exhaust off of here. That's around there. Alright, exhaust pipe coming up. So there's 2 bolts right here holding on the fuel injector. So we can get that off, and then I believe this whole thing can come off. One, two, three, 4 of those bolts. Not very tight on there. Going a crisscross pattern here. Alright, here we go, moment of truth. What is this thing gonna look like? Alright, just double check everything is off of this. No more bolts in there. All right, we got that last bolt out. You can hear the coolant pouring out of it. It's definitely loose. Still holding on. There we go. Let's see what that looks like. What the heck? The whole piston's missing. What? What in the world is happening right now? The whole piston is gone. Where the heck is the piston? What the heck? That is a little strange. Never seen that one before. What the heck? What? Look at that. I think the valves are fine. The piston's just missing. I think it's all crunched up down there. What? Holy cow. That is absolutely insane. How are there no metal chunks in the oil? What the heck? Well, this is definitely a first for me. What? Yeah, you can see part of a piston ring down there lodged in the crank. That's absolutely nuts. Yeah, I can see the piston underneath there. It's like underneath the crank right there. Look at that. There's the piston. Holy cow. That is horrible. So I wonder if the cases are wrecked too. I don't get how there wasn't any metal chunks in the oil. That's nuts. Jeez. What could have caused that failure? But I mean, like, the valves look pretty decent actually. That one's bent right there. So that one that was a little bit lower than the other one's bent, you can see. But the rest of them look pretty decent. Yeah, it got crunched right there, you can see. Wow. Right, let's get off the cylinder next. It's on there. There we go. There. So this thing must have ran low on oil or something. Yeah. Check that out. Skirt just broken right off of it. Wow. Cracked right in half there. That's why it was hard to get out. It just cracked in a bunch of different places. Look at that right there, right there. Holy cow, that's bad. I don't know how that's possible, but the crank still feels pretty good. Big chunk. Here's the pin for the piston. That's crazy. Because it's really bad. Looks like somebody just cranked and cranked this thing over and over again. The rod bearing feels good still. This rod bearing still feels good up and down, a little side to side play. I did. It's just sitting right there. Crazy. Don't know how that's possible. It is just insane. All right, we had to move the rear diff to get the drive shaft out from the engine to the rear diff, and then we pulled the engine forward, allowing the drive shaft to come out in the front here. So I'm hoping we can pull the engine out through here. Doesn't look like a very big space. I don't know if that's gonna fit or not. What do you guys think? So we're gonna try it. We'll come back once we get it like halfway out, but I don't know if that's gonna fit. Check this out. I was able to get the crank kind of loose here. Look at this huge chunk in here. Part of the piston. That thing just got demolished. Look at that thing. Holy cow. There's a ring. Man, oh man. See if we can dig anything else out. Look at that. Oil ring. It's like we're digging for gold here. A big chunk. Huh. Look at that. There's the circlip right there. Other half of the piston. Wow. Another piece. That just got demolished. Alright, so it looks like there's some oil lines down there connecting to the engine. I don't know why they have that, but it's underneath the clutch cover. So I can't even get to them unless we get the clutch cover off. So this thing is becoming a pain in the butt. And I don't even think it's going to fit through here. I don't know how they expect you to get this engine out. I don't know if more stuff can come out in here or what, because it does not look like it. It looks like it's all framed in, yeah. The only thing that can come out is that bar right there. So, I don't know. It's not looking too good. Alright, oil lines came off right there. And those were attached to just normal lines. And we got the clutch cover off. So we're gonna get, or try to get, the clutch off of here. Hopefully we have the correct puller, but it's got this cage around it as well, giving it another extra couple inches. So in order to get it out through here, we probably need to take the clutch off. We got the engine out. We had to pull it through right here. That was really tough. Couldn't get a jack underneath there or anything. So we just had to lift it right out. And man, was that a tight fit. Whew. But we got her out. Now we can take a look at everything and kind of go through it. Man, that was like the worst thing ever. By far the worst engine tear out ever. I don't know what they were doing with this thing. Oh, it's horrible. Look at all the dirt underneath there too. Wow. Yeah, I spent probably 4 hours trying to get this thing out. Oh, we got the engine on the bench here. So, that's what was in it, in the crank area. So let's tear this thing down. We'll vacuum this off quick. This is loosening up the belt so we can get it off here. Alright, belt comes off. Go. Alright, let's start working on this side next. You can see the dipstick is right here. Let's get this off of there. Here's the water pump right here. We're gonna see if that failed. Something must have failed big time to have the piston do what it did. Doesn't look too bad in there. A little corrosion. Let's see if it spins with the crank here. Yep. So water pump is at least spinning. Let's get that off there. That was a reverse thread. Sucker was on there pretty good. It's not really a good place to grab either. Come on. Holy cow. There we go. Ooh. Stager looks a little rough in there. Look at all the metal shavings in there. Oh man. Down here is horrible. absolutely chunked up right here. Big chunks. Look at this one. Man, oh man. That chain's super loose. Super loose for the oil pump. Hey, we actually have the puller for it. That's kind of amazing. Key looks pretty rough. Look at that. There's the flywheel. Woodruff key is really rough. So that's definitely damaged. See if the one-way bearing was working. One-way bearing was working. And there's a dot right there and a dot right there. That's going to line up. So this gear looks like it's pressed on, maybe, so that is not coming off. I'm not sure how you get that off if there's no place for a puller. With the lock washer, looks like that one broke right off. That goes like that with a nut. Then you've got this gear that comes off. This can come off, there we go. Oh, this is sliding off. Woodruff key in there. Alright, that looks good. Then there's that ring. So that was on the back of that, like that. Interesting. So that's all free. Right through it. No metal shavings in there at all. So oil filter actually looked pretty good. All right, so we have to get a puller for this gear, and then we have to get a clutch puller for the primary clutch here. So unfortunately, we have to end it here because we can't go any further. We can't split the case until we can get that clutch off and this gear off. But this thing is an absolute disaster. Everything is wrecked on it. Take a closer look at the cylinder here. I mean, the cylinder's wrecked, all cracked. The head is nicked, and a valve is bent right here. So possibly need a new head. We'll have to take a closer look at that next video as well. And then obviously, we'll probably try to reuse this piston. I think that's going to be fine. Try to weld that back together. I think that's fine, right? I mean, I've never seen that happen to a piston before. I don't know what could have caused that. I mean, everything's like melted into it. It's absolutely mangled. The worst I've seen in a long time. So it's hard to believe that the older couple was riding it and then it just stopped. I'm guessing they continued to ride it until it just like gave out like that. But that looks like somebody continuously tried to start it up and started it up and started it up, and it just jamming the piston. And yeah, so next video we're gonna find out if this engine's worth saving. I'll look for a replacement top end and crank. I don't know if they make them for this machine. Hopefully they do. And then hopefully the cases are gonna be fine. If not, we're gonna have to part this thing out, because I know they don't sell cases for this. So if anyone has any leads for any parts, let me know in the comments. But yeah, it's probably gonna be pretty expensive. I'm guessing 1,500, 2K. I was hoping it was gonna be the starter, and it turned into a complete disaster. Definitely was not the starter. That was the problem. And I'm sure the seller took up the spark plug and looked at that right away and saw that it was bent and was like, forget about it. I'm not rebuilding it. And he lucked out, because this engine was an absolute nightmare to take out of here. I don't know why they designed it like that. Worst design on an ATV I've ever seen in my life. You can't even drop it through the bottom because the skid plate's welded on. So it's like, what the heck? I mean, how are you supposed to get to the clutch area? There's brackets there that you can't take out. And then there's a gas tank on this side. So hopefully it pays off, and we can get this thing back up and running. But thanks for watching, guys. Thanks for subscribing. Stay tuned for next video. And until next time, we are out.